Welcome to Securing Multi-Tier Modern Application Architecture with Voltstack. This demo will show you Voltstack's strong namespace isolations capabilities. As a quick recap, this is an example 3-tier demo financial application that simulates a bank's payment processing network. These 3-tier applications are deployed in a single Voltstack Kubernetes cluster, segregated via Kubernetes namespace. Although Kubernetes cannot guarantee perfect secure isolations between tenants, it does offer features that may be sufficient for specific use case. You can separate each tenant and their Kubernetes resources into their own namespaces. You can use policies to enforce tenant isolations. Kubernetes network policies can be used to isolate or control communication between namespace or pods. Please refer to Kubernetes documentations for details on network policy. This is an example from Kubernetes official documentations for the network policy. This is an example of the network policy resources that you can create. You can see that you create the network policy based on like pod selector, match label, what's the role, whether it is an ingress, egress, what's the CIDR block, namespace selector, label, and etc. This example is an example of how a network policy can be constructed. It depends on RBAC. This policy potentially can be modified by application owner or developer to bypass security control, as policies are enforced with label matching and configuration manifest, which is what is shown here. With Voltstack's strong namespace isolation, Voltstack introduced an implicit namespace label, which is this name.ves.io namespace. This implicit namespace label, which only can be changed from Vault console. Once this namespace or once this service policy enforced on Voltstack, only administrator that given the permission on Voltstack able to modify. What I mean here is that the developer with cluster role access to the Kubernetes will not be able to modify this implicit label. Hence, that's why it is a strong namespace isolations. In this demo, I'm going to show you that I have created a 3 namespace called BOA Web, BOA Apps, and BOA DB. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to enforce a service policy at this BOA Web and only allow BOA Web to be accessed from the internet. Whereas the rest, like for example, if I have other namespaces, these other namespaces will not be able to talk to any of these 3 namespaces. I'm also created a service policy on the BOA apps and only BOA web to be able to talk to it. Same like the BOA DB, I only allow BOA app to be able to talk to the DB. So you can see that I'm creating a micro-segmentation based on the namespace, so that only applications that are allowed to talk to that namespace are allowed for the connectivity. Now I have these 3 applications that currently I have logged in. Let's say for example, if I go to the front end, maybe I'll go to the context, as well as I go to this another default namespace. So in our previous demo, what I shown you is that from here, for example, I can, for example, PSSQL, I'm able to access to the PSSQL. Let me see, history, PSQL. Yeah, I can run this command to connect from the web web tier. I can log into the PSSQL. Same like in this one as well. Let's say for example on a default namespace, or I can able to log into PSSQL on the database as well. So what I'm going to do now here is that I am going to go log into the Volterra BOA web. By the way, this is the application that I'm able to use it to log in to the Bank of Volterra. Let me log into the work console. So in this work console, I have prepared a service policy for BOA web. Let's say if I go to the service policy, BOA web whitelist, edit. So in here, I have defined a server, any server, because this can be coming from the internet, and I have written a rule to say that any clients, any from the internet, as long as it match this domain, you are able to allow it to connect. For example, if what I'm going to do is that I'm going to apply this policy. So let's say, for example, if I'm going to apply the service policy, currently I haven't applied the policy. For example, I can actually call http frontend dot BOA web. You can see that I can connect to the front end web from another namespace. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to select policy. I'm going to apply this policy, save. Alright, so now what it means is that, as I said, that currently I have blocked any other namespaces within the Kubernetes to talk to this BOA web. So if I run again, you can see that this one I can't connect. The same thing as well. For example, if I want to, I'm going to do the same policy for the rest as well. Like for example, in the BOA app. So in BOA apps, I have created a policy, a service policy, to whitelist the apps. You can see that only allow BOA web. So what I mean is that in this policy, basically in this service policy, I only allow web BOA web tier to talk to me. You can see that in here, this is the implicit label, implicit namespace label, name.vas.io/namespace. What I say that in BOA web, so as long as the client, any group of clients by the label selector, BOA web, it will match for HTTP or any method. You can further fine grain, write the fine grain rule that whether you want to, what verbs that you want to allow. And once it matches this, I will say allow. By default, the rest all will be denied. So what happens that I'm going to go to select service policy. I'm going to select this one, add this BOA app whitelist, save. So what I mean here is that currently in the app tier, only web tier can talk to the app tier. The rest will be blocked. I'm going to do the DB tier as well. The same thing for DB tier, the rule. Let me show you what the rule looks like. So for the DB tier, what I had here is that a group of clients in BOA apps. So this one's similar. I would say that currently in the BOA DB tier, I only allow when it match BOA apps tier, and only this is allowed. The rest all will be denied. So I'm going to add active service policy. Select the first one. Alright, so what I mean is that currently I have already applied a namespace isolations rule to only allow the web tier to talk to the app tier, and then the app tier to talk to the DB tier, and the rest of the namespaces, when they try to talk, will be denied. Right, if I go back to here, so now let's say for example, if I want to log in again to the Postgres SQL, so if I use the same command to log in, you can see this time round I got deny access. I keep running. I can keep running. This is basically from the web tier, from the front end, trying to connect to the database tier. Got denied. Say if I log into the web tier, yeah, if I try to go web tier, the web tier allowed me to log in. Or if I come in from non 3 tiers, the application like a monitoring namespace, if I try to log in from here, you can see that it's got denied as well. It denied me from connecting to the database. In this sense, that basically what you did is that you are successfully isolating the DB tier, and only the app tier able to connect to the DB tier. Of course, if you all this connectivity rejected and it's been locked as well. If I go to this one, if I go to the site security, you can see the rules, the firewall rules. If I go here, firewall logs, like this, you can see that if I refresh it, there's a lot of deny access. Where it is coming from? What's the rules that got matched? This is a DB, BOA DB. So you can see that you can drill down exactly where is the source. You can see that the source is actually coming from nettools.default. This is a namespace that I'm running from here. You can see that this source namespace is trying to talk to the ledger DB. This is a destination, and this is the port, the Postgres port 5432. So all these activities are being logged. So from here you can see the logs. If I refresh, and yep. So this is a DB app tier, and this is a web tier, as well as this is coming from another application. So you can see from here is that I have successfully isolate and create an application micro-segmentation. I segment my BOA web, BOA app, and BOA DB from being able to be connected from other namespaces, as well as allow what is the whitelist, and etc. Yeah, thank you for watching.